Hey guys, welcome to the Diet Doc Life Mastery Podcast. I'm Joe Klemczewski with Dr. Kori Propst, and we're going to talk today about why we shouldn't listen to people when they say you should not be hungry, or other little voices in our head. So, Kori, you brought this up, and I like this kind of topic. It really goes back into how we let other people tell us what we should and shouldn't do.
We're so influenced by others, especially those we hold in a positive light and who we kind of put on a pedestal, like our coaches. Mm-hmm. So I have this client who I've just started working with who was sharing with me, you know, what her nutrition looks like. I was interested. We were having a discussion about it. And she's like, my coach said that he said to me, you shouldn't be hungry at this level of food. And she's continuing to eat. And sure, there may be some emotional stuff going on, but that stopped me. I was like, wait, stop talking. Like, hold, like the brakes came on. And I was like, wait, what did he tell you? So he knows your body better than you do, apparently, and is like sitting inside of you and feeling this hunger. And, you know, this is going on in my head, but, you know, we had a good discussion about it. And I want to say this loud and clear to everyone who's listening. No one can tell you what an appropriate amount of food is except for you. It plain and simple. But here's the thing. In diet culture, where food and feeding ourselves has often been boiled down to numbers, to macros, right? Understanding what is appropriate for us and what's adequate for us can feel really murky and scary. And if we've been dieting forever and have been on 10 million different diets, it can be really confusing. So I think, Joe, that it's like with anything that feels maybe unpleasant like this, or just unsettling or uncertain, we need to assess how we're responding in those sorts of situations. So like when she told me this, I thought, so do we just do what the coach tells us to do? Because I don't know how much my body needs, so I'm just going to follow whatever he tells me what to do. Say he gives me 1,350 calories a day. Okay. Do I just stop eating if I'm still hungry once I've hit those 1,350 calories for the day? Do I not eat past a certain time? So what I'm getting at is we start living, if we're dieting all the time, according to these very arbitrary rules. And I think oftentimes too, what can occur is we'll blame the hunger that we may legitimately be experiencing and going over on our macros, for example, we'll call it something else, like emotional eating. And this is actually how this client came to me. She said, I'm an emotional eater. And I never take that at face value, because there's just too many contextual elements and variables to consider. Like, well, what are you eating? And how much are you eating? And how hungry are you? Like, let's not necessarily blame it on emotions and you using food to cope and avoid emotion. Again, are you getting enough food for real? But my first priority, Joe, is to really understand too what sort of beliefs they have around food, or ideas or concepts that they're really holding tightly to. And this is, dieters as a culture have a lot of those that we have to get underneath and kind of dig into. I was listening to a podcast recently with this grief and loss expert, and her name is Dr. Joanne Cacciatore, and she was sharing a story about a woman who came to see her because she felt that she should be over and through the grief of her daughter, right? Her daughter died. She said to the doctor, you know, it's already been 4 months. and everyone is telling me that there must be something wrong with me, that I'm still crying after 4 months. And yeah, your eyebrow, yeah, that was my reaction too. But you kind of hear things like this all the time, like, are you okay? Like, and when people in these sorts of situations are like, you still have your other 3 kids, or it's,
You know what? Can I stop you for just a second, Kori? Because from a meta perspective, this is so often just projection. So somebody who says you shouldn't be having those feelings or expressing them is obviously somebody who has a very difficult time with their own emotional management. The person who created conversion therapy, wanting everybody else to cure their homosexuality, ended up coming out as a homosexual. It's those kind of things that you hear about all the time. And I think, the biggest perspective I could add to what you're saying is when a coach or an influencer in your life says you should or shouldn't feel this
there's
way.
your keyword.
Yeah. First of all, back up and say, well, wait a second. I appreciate that perspective that you may feel I'm a bit of an outlier, but let's dig a little deeper and maybe look at why. I mean, to your whole example about hunger, like, well, let's look at the food sources I'm eating. Let's look at my meal timing. Let's look at how and when and how hard I train, and how much weight am I losing or not losing. And let's see if we can figure this out instead of throwing out some superficial, idiotic, meaningless statement.
Can you approach me like I'm a human being? Yeah. So this doctor, she said, did you ever think that rather than there being something wrong with you, that these people are wrong?
Right.
Which is, I think, how we can approach this. And I don't even know if the best way is to say someone has to be wrong in the situation. Like, that can actually breed some contempt, and nothing wrong with conflict, but it doesn't exactly open up our hearts to be able to have a generative discussion about it. So, with my client, it's just like you said, Joe, that's an interesting take. And I wonder if there are some other things we could look at here. But I do, if there are coaches listening too, if you hear yourself say the word you should or you should not in your work with your clients, that's a red flag. That's a red flag to look at, kind of where your limitations and your beliefs land, and to start exploring kind of why you just shut down in that conversation and got really kind of black and white and extreme.
This is good timing. I'm getting on a plane tomorrow to go speak to a group of coaches, train them to be better coaches. So
right.
This is definitely one of the topics I have in my PowerPoint, is how to actually listen and treat people as, the individuals they are from a human and just biological perspective. So.
Well, Joe, let's end this here. I posted a quote yesterday that goes right along with what you just said. I can't remember the author of the quote, but it's, we are not survival of the fittest. We are survival of the nurtured.
Nice. Good way to end it. All right, Dr. Propst, thank you. And thank you guys for watching, listening. We'll see you next time in the Diet Doc Life Mastery Podcast.
Thanks, guys.